Good evening, race fans, and hello, welcome to Brno. Here we are on the main straight of Masaryk Circuit, and this is going to be the big final of the Racing Saturday here in the Czech Republic. The endurance race of GT Cup Series is just ahead of us, and behind me you can see the starting grid getting ready for a 1-hour race with 26 cars on the grid in a total. And again, this will be the race with mandatory pit stop in the halfway actually, and some teams are opting to use the pit stop for changing drivers, which is not mandatory. You only have to visit the pit lane for the pit stop. So it means some other teams are going solo in this race. Here is the only LMP3 car on the grid, number 44 again. That's of course ARC Bratislava car, and the Ligier LMP3 racing with Miro Konopka, the Slovakian driver, starting in the D5 class. It will be a 1-hour solo drive for Miro Konopka in this race, unlike this car starting alongside Miro Konopka from the front row. It is one of the beautiful BMW M4 GT3. This is the car number 444, entered by Aris Racing in a cooperation with Schenki's Motorsport, and it will be the Slovakian professional Richard Gonda starting the race into the first half. Richard, hello, welcome to Brno, starting the race from the front row. It will be again very tight into the first corner. So what are your expectations? What's the plan for the race?
Hi guys. I expect to have fun. Actually, this will be my first laps today, and already starting from first row, so hopefully to get in the rhythm really soon. We will see. What about the guys from another category from behind, from GTX or P9? It will be hard to keep them behind because of a lot of power. But I will try to keep and then manage the race and bring the car safe for driver change and for Udo.
Absolutely, Richard, we keep fingers crossed for you. Have a good race, have fun out there on track. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Richard Gonda starting the race from the front row alongside Miro Konopka behind the wheel of number 44 Ligier. So again, just as it was at the start of the sprint race, it will be the fight between GT3 car and LMP3 car into the first corner. Here we are, another beautiful BMW M4 GT3 with number 79, of course. So this car is racing Trevor, Jesse Kron and Gregor Shigo starting in the endurance race, and this is Gregor Shigo behind the wheel. Gregor, hello. So what are your expectations from the endurance race? It will be tough 1-hour challenge.
I'm sorry, but it's not.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, on the radio. Okay, I'm sorry. Be on the radio, be focused, of course, get ready. So this is Gregor Shigo getting ready, and we just caught him being up on the radio with his team engineer. So that's of course more important than the interview. Maybe we can do a closer look. If you follow me inside the cockpit, you can see the system, how the drivers can watch what's going on behind them. It's the screen just next to the main dashboard. So this is how the drivers can follow what's happening behind them. So it is very, very good to have something like that also in the car. So it's a good feature. So it's the second row, BMW and the Lamborghini Huracan GT3, number 804. That's the car which is also being driven by Coach Mackenzie. And also, take a look on this car. After the departure of Libor Milota, I'm so happy that we still have some Mercedes AMG GT3 car on the grid of GT Cup Series. This is one of the most beautiful GT cars ever made, at my opinion, at last. And it's the Polish driver Piotr Wira will be starting from the third row on the grid. Just a look at the grid behind me. We do have another BMW M4 GT3. Behind it, it's BMW M6 GT3. So we have a lot of GT3 cars. We have a lot of GT Cup cars, GTX cars, GT4 cars. This will be 1 hour endurance challenge. We have to clean the grid now, because the sighting lap will be starting in 1 minute and 40 seconds. But one more thing, take a look on this car. This is the Praga R1, and for the first time ever in the endurance race, it will be also driven by Adam Colt, the main championship contender, alongside Martin Kadlecik in TCR Eastern Europe. So this will be a great GT racing debut also for Adam Colt, who we know very well from TCR Eastern Europe. So the race will be exciting. It will be 1 hour endurance race of GT Cup Series here in Brno. Make sure you are joining me in a few moments. Thank you very much.
bouří, za chvilku také zjistíme, kdo že bude pilotovat, protože tyhle informace sbíral snad se mnou úplně kompletní kolega Martin Straka, kterému tímto nahoru předávám slovo.
So hello again, one more time. I wish you a lovely afternoon or very early evening here from Brno. I'm back in the commentary box and we are getting ready to see the final showdown of Racing Saturday here on Masaryk Circuit. And this will be the 1 hour long endurance challenge. As I said on the grid, some of the teams are opting to change the drivers during the mandatory pit stop at the halfway of the race. Some drivers will do a solo drive across the whole 1 hour race. For example, it will be the case of Miro Konopka starting from the front row, from the first place actually. As you can see, the yellow Ligier LMP3 car of the previous generation of LMP3 cars is there up in the front, will be starting from pole position. So again, just as it was in the sprint race of GT Cup Series, we are going to see the fight between the GT3 car and LMP3 car into the first corner here in Brno, and this will be something, of course. So Gregor Shigo is the championship leader in the GT Cup Series Endurance Championship with 71 points to his name after 5 rounds on Red Bull Ring, Slovakia Ring, Lausitz Ring, Most and Slovakia Ring again. But Denis Vasek in the GT3 drivers classification has also 71 points. So the fight for the championship is on, and this is, let's say, second to last race of the season, because of course this will be the 6th race of the endurance season in GT Cup Series, and the final 7th race will take place during the final weekend of September on Balaton Park. So this is the second to last race. Most likely you can't claim the championship title here, but you can lose it. So all the drivers, all the teams has to avoid making any mistakes, and it will be a flying start. As you can see, the cars are getting into the formation. It will be a 2-wide formation for the start of the race. We are already in the final chicane of the racetrack here in Brno, here on Masaryk Circuit, the home of Czech Grand Prix of MotoGP. But this time we are going to watch some GT racing. The pace car, the BMW will enter the pit lane now, and we are ready to go. It's Miro Konopka behind the wheel of the yellow Ligier, and Richard Gonda behind the wheel of BMW M4 GT3. The green flag is out, and we are racing for the final time today. So the 1 hour endurance race has started here in Brno. Miro Konopka in 4th place, so he dropped some positions already, but we have another Slovakian, Richard Gonda, leading the race. So it was a great start done by Richard Gonda, who is leading the race at the moment. So Richard Gonda is up in there, but look at the green Lamborghini Huracan GT3, which goes up into the front. So Lamborghini leads the endurance race, and this Lamborghini starting in P9 class, that's the crew of Coach Mackenzie and Gerhard Tverrasser. So 2 German drivers sharing this beautiful green machine, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo. So Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo is leading the race now, just ahead of Richard Gonda behind the wheel of BMW M4 GT3. Richard Gonda will be replaced by Rudolf Benio at the halfway of the race. And here we have another GT cars. I love this M6 GT3. It's so good to still have the previous generation of GT3 BMW. So we still have a combination of M4 and M6 cars here on the grid of GT Cup Series. Miro Konopka behind the wheel of his yellow car, and here we have the Praga R1. So this is the direct fight between Praga R1T and the Ligier LMP3 car for the first place in D5 class. For Miro Konopka, this is very much important, because the Praga car is the only opponent he has in a D5 class. So he has to make sure that the Praga is behind him. And as I said, on the starting grid for the first time in his life, also the championship contender from TCR Eastern Europe, Adam Cote, is taking part in the endurance race, and he is part of the crew racing with Praga R1T. It's the JMT Racing. Adam Cote is sharing the racing duties with Roman Robicek here in Brno, so it's a big debut for Adam Cote. So we have the Lamborghini entered by HB Racing International up in the front, leading the way with the gap over 2 seconds between Lamborghini and the BMW of Richard Gonda. So Richard Gonda is there in the 2nd place, but again, the most important thing for Richard Gonda is the fact that he is leading the GT3 class. As I said already, the green Lamborghini is not listed between the GT3 cars. It's racing in P9 class. So the crew of Tverrasser and Mackenzie is leading the way in the P9 class. Behind them, BMW number 444 is leading the way in the GT3 class. And then we have one of the KTMs, I do believe. Yes, it should be the 119 car, that's the Austrian team. MZR Motorsport Centrum. So the 119 car, it's Marius Eigner, one of the solo drivers here in this endurance race. Marius Eigner, of course, fighting for the win in GTX class. This is the main goal for him, and he is in the lead of GTX class, of course. And here is the fight between the 2 GT4 cars. The only Aston Martin Vantage GT4 we do have on the grid here in GT Cup Series, entered by Yannick Motorsport. And behind the green Aston Martin, it was the Mercedes AMG GT4 entered by Bagherazet M Racing. So that's the fight up in the front of GT4 class. The Aston Martin has 2 drivers for the endurance race. Of course, one of them is the team boss and team owner Václav Janík, sharing the racing duties with Petr Kokola. And what's going on here? Let's check it out. We have the yellow Porsche owned by Hermann Speck. That's another P9 class entry. Hermann Speck is the solo driver, and he is there behind the M6 GT3, the older GT3 car made by BMW. And the M6 car should be listed in GT3 class, and look at this battle. It's Gregor Schiger and also the Audi R8 GT3 entered by Fulin Racing in cooperation with Bagheera. So it's a nice battle for 8th, 9th and 10th place in the overall standings. But most important is that these cars are fighting each other also in the GT3 class, with exception of the yellow Porsche, which is listed in P9 class. Now Hermann Speck is going around the Audi of Fulin Racing. Again, Peter Fulin is sharing his driving duties with Alia Kolotz. So that's the new partnership which has been introduced in Most during the previous race weekend of the season back in July. And it's a good cooperation actually. Alia Kolotz was the last minute replacement for Jiří Navrátil in Most. And this is how the new cooperation has been made between Bagheera Racing and Fulin Racing. So another great addition to the grid. And finally Alia Kolotz can be racing with GT3 car after she took so many experiences racing in a GT4 rally raid truck racing. Now she's behind the wheel of GT3, and I believe this is only the beginning of the project. So let's wait and see where we are going to see racing Alia Kolotz together with Peter Fulin next year, maybe GT Open. Let's wait and see for the confirmation of the program. But now both drivers, Alia and Peter, are focused on taking the maximum from this race, racing in the GT3 class. So it's a 12th place for number 222 in the overall standings, which means that number 222 is out of the podium if we speak about the GT3 class, because the GT3 leader is number 444 Aries Racing with Richard Gonda behind the wheel in a second place overall. Then we have the two BMWs of Racing Trevor, number 79 and number 220. These are the cars in P2 and P3 respectively in the GT3 class. And then we have Fulin Race in P12, which is also the P4 in the GT3 class standings. But here is the fight between Lamborghini of Masaryk Motorsport, powered by Bagheera, and the Fulin Racing car. It's number 11, the red Lamborghini, entered by the home team Masaryk Motorsport, powered by Bagheera, in the 13th place now. And number 11, of course, is racing for the GTC class win here. So still a long race ahead of us with 50 minutes to go. You can see the Audi R8 trying to find its way ahead of the KTM. Well, this car actually has been really busy over the 2025 season so far, because Peter Fulin entered the car also into some GT Open races, for example on Hockenheim in Germany. So Peter Fulin, former touring car racer, is doing a great transition into a GT3 racer, and it's only a good choice for him, because we know how quick he can be. He's a 3 times European touring car champion, of course, and he always has a good pace, and he's always one of the quickest drivers out there on the track. It was one racing weekend in M class for a full-in race by interaction during the third round of the GT Open season. So yes, it was on Hockenheim in the M class. Now the Lamborghini overtakes the Audi, so the GT Cup car goes ahead of Audi R8 GT3, and the red and white Lamborghini entered by Masaryk Motorsport powered by Bagheera. It should be the leader in a GTC class category, so good job by the driver here. And another close fight between the BMW and KTM. This is the car of Gregor Shigo, I believe, who is going to share the racing duties with Jesse Kron, the BMW factory driver, also taking part in the sprint race earlier today. And now the traffic also plays its role. As you can see, the Lamborghini is stuck behind the KTM, so the Audi is getting closer and closer again. If we check the overall standings, this is the fight for 11th, 12th and 13th place in the overall standings. Of course, it's not that much important. We mostly have to speak about class standings here in a GTC Cup series, but still, just for your better orientation in the racing field. The Racing Trevor BMW is there in 10th place, ahead of the KTM in 11th. P12 is there for Lamborghini, and the Audi is there in P13. So that's the group of drivers fighting each other just behind the top 10. It's 47 minutes to go, and this is the place where the Lamborghini is very quick. Great acceleration out of the last corner. Here we are on the main straight again, and now the Masaryk Motorsport Lamborghini is overtaking Gregor Shigo behind the wheel of BMW M4 GT3, and also there is a battle between the Audi and BMW, and Audi goes ahead. So nice moments and some nice overtaking in P11, P12 and P13 respectively. Behind this group of cars we have the second Lamborghini entered by Masaryk Motorsport powered by Bagheera, and that's also the second car in a GT Cup, in a GTC class. Meanwhile, up in the front, still 804 Lamborghini of Gerhard Tverasser and Coach Mackenzie, leading the way with the gap over 6 seconds between the Lamborghini and the BMW M4 GT3 of Richard Gonda. I'm sorry, of course Rudolf Benio will be the second driver in the race. So still it's a very good situation for Arias Racing. Richard Gonda is trying to do everything he can to prepare the best possible situation for his car. Of course, Rudolf Benio, who is going to replace him inside the cockpit, is a gentleman driver. So Rudolf Benio, of course, is much slower than Richard Gonda. So it only means that Richard Gonda needs to do everything he can to make the gap between his car and the second car in GT3 class as big as possible. And this can be a fight for the winner for the crew Gonda and Benio. Watching the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo leading the race in the overall standings and also leading the P9 class. Well, this time the second car in P9 class, it should be the Porsche 991 GT3 R Gen 2, driven by Hermann Speck, the 611 car racing in a B9 at the moment. So there is also a decent gap between the first and second car in the B9 class. And are the other cars racing in the B9? We also have the number 209, the Cayman GT4 RS. The 209 is down the order in B20. So there is no danger to the leaders of B9 class. Then we have the number 806 BMW M4 GT3. Also not in the order, so this is just alright. We are also looking inside the garage of Masaryk Motorsport powered by Bagira. You could see Bronislav Formanek there getting ready for the second half of the race. For Masaryk Motorsport powered by Bagira, it's been a good race so far, as they are leading the GTC class with both cars. And here, look at the GT4 cars. Again, two BMWs M4, but this time GT4, not GT3. In a GT4 class, we have plenty of cars actually. This is number 9. Ahead of number 3, I believe. 21st place and 22nd place respectively. Both cars entered by Schenki's Motorsport. The number 9 racing with Matthias Feiereisel, and number 3 racing with Jaroslav Karnik. So it's a battle of the two Czech drivers. And here you can see also Robert Schenki's standing back in the grey jacket, the big boss of Schenki's Motorsport, closely following his customers racing his BMW cars. For many years, it's the fact that if BMW needs a good partner here in the Czech Republic, they call Mr. Schenki's and race together. Oh no, it's a Praga car going off, and this was a hard crash. This was a hard crash of Praga R1, and possibly there was a contact between Praga and the Ligier LMP3 driven by Mira Konopka. This is the Praga R1T driven by Roman Robicek and Adam Kout. I have already said that Adam Kout was about to make his racing debut behind the wheel of the GT car, but this was a harsh crash. This was a hard impact into the barriers. It is Adam Kout. It is Adam Kout. We can see his Hyundai Yannick Motorsport racing suit, his typical helmet, and the most important thing is that Adam Kout is alright. He is standing on his feet and he's climbing over the barrier, but this was a harsh contact, most likely between Adam Kout and Miro Konopka racing with the Ligier LMP3 car of his own team ARC Bratislava. Of course, safety car is on track after this crash, and this was a hard impact into the barriers. Just look at the back of Praga R1T, how badly damaged it is actually. So this wasn't pleasant actually. Let's check the replay. Yes, of course, there was a contact between Adam Kout and Mira Konopka. Well, it's hard to judge for me, but I would say that this goes behind Adam Kout. He was on the inside line, and Miro Konopka was just following the racing line. He was ready to turn into the first corner, and it was very unfortunate, and I feel sorry for Adam Colt. I feel sorry for JMT Racing. I also feel sorry for Miro Konopka, because I know Miro for many years, and I know he's always a fair racer. He doesn't want to do anything bad to anybody he is racing with. So this was a shocking moment for both drivers, Miro Konopka and also Adam Colt. Fortunately, Miro Konopka still on the track, so it was not a crash of two cars, but only a crash of one car. But this was a big crash, big shunt into the barriers, and plenty of work for the team, JMT Racing. Broken a rear suspension, broken the rear part of the car, where of course also the engine is, where the gearbox is, so this is a costly damage. And I just hate to see the beautiful Czech racing car Praga R1T like this, destroyed in the gravel zone. 38 minutes to go, safety car on the track, of course, and it looks like that also the pit stops will be behind the safety car, because this is going to take some time. Oh yeah, for some reason I would say that this really goes behind Adam Colt. It's very unfortunate. Adam Colt is a nice guy, everybody likes him. He is not unfair driver, of course not, but maybe as he is unexperienced with racing of GT cars, he just didn't judge the situation well, and he was steering to the left-hand side where Miro Konopka was, and Miro Konopka was getting ready to turn into the first corner, so basically the clash was inevitable in a situation like this. You saw in the graphics the name Roman Robicek, but of course it was Adam Colt. Just to make it clear, it was Adam Colt, of course. We could see his Hyundai Ioniq Motorsport racing suit and his helmet, so it was Adam Colt who was starting the race and taking the part in the first 30 minutes. And Roman Robicek was getting ready to jump into the car to replace Adam Colt in the cockpit, but it is not going to happen, unfortunately. 37 minutes to go. Here we can see the yellow Ligier LMP3 driven by Miro Konopka. It seems to me that there is no serious damage, so I believe that Miro Konopka will be able to continue in the race. Of course, the pit stops are now closed, so the rest of the ARC Bratislava team will be able to check the car on the pit lane. And of course, there must be some ongoing communication between the team wall and Miro Konopka behind the wheel of number 44 Ligier LMP3 car. So I believe that Miro Konopka is already sharing his impressions from the situation. Of course, he has his point of view to that, but as I said, this is absolutely unfortunate for both drivers. Both drivers, nice guys, experienced, fair drivers, fair racers, and nobody wants to see a situation like this one. Very unfortunate, and I just feel sorry for Adam Colt, because I believe, I must say it loud, it was his fault, I believe it, but as I said, I know Adam Colt for many years. He has a nickname in the paddock of DCR Eastern Europe. He's being often called as a Czech Daniel Ricciardo for smiling all the time, being nice to everybody. And this is something, of course, he didn't want to happen. Number 65, Praga R1T being transported out of the gravel zone. at the outside of the first corner, and here we can see how badly damaged it is. Rear suspension broken on both sides, and possibly more damage to the engine, to the gearbox, maybe also to the chassis itself, but I hope not, because if that's the case, the car is just broken and it would have been replaced. So we have moments of peace driving behind the safety car. Still the Lamborghini number 804 in the overall lead, and most importantly in the lead of P9 class. But as the safety car was catching the cars on the track, we have one of the Mercedes cars behind the safety car. It's the white GT4 car, which belongs to Lema Racing, the Slovenian racing team, entering actually 3 cars into the GT4 class, 2 Mercedes cars and 1 Audi R8 GT3. So, 33 minutes to go. The pit window is going to be open pretty soon, actually. So, we are just waiting for the first pit stops. Now, the order behind the safety car is being correct, as we have the green Lamborghini here of Coach Mackenzie and Gerhard Tweraser. So the race director enabled the pass around for the other cars. So now we are going to wait for the other cars to catch on the racing queue from the back, and then it will be possible to restart the endurance race of GT Cup Series here in Brno. Again, one more time we can take a look. Well, unfortunate, really hard to judge, but I do believe that Miro Konopka was just keeping his racing line into the first corner, because Miro Konopka was at the place where you enter the first corner when you start steering, and Adam Colt just didn't steer at the right time. That's my opinion. Very hard to judge, and again I only can say it was so unfortunate for both drivers. There was a move on the steering wheel also done by Miro Konopka. Maybe it's 50-50 after all. Really hard to say. Of course, I'm going to talk with Miro, I'm going to talk with Adam, and after the race, of course, and we can speak about it tomorrow, because tomorrow we have the second sprint race of the GT Cup Series weekend here in Brno, so we can talk about the situation also tomorrow. So make sure you are joining us live also tomorrow for the second sprint race. And yes, I just want to know what's the opinion of the drivers behind the wheels. And again, Miro Konopka is just so lucky that his car is not just as badly damaged like the Praga R1. So this was the first supersport car produced by the Czech brand Praga. It already
has a successor, the famous Praga Bohema, also taking part in a Goodwood Festival of Speed in England. So we already have the second car produced by Praga. It's the fascinating Bohema. If you haven't seen it yet, don't worry and Google it online, because it's a wonderful car, absolutely breathtaking, and it's just eye-catching super sport, which was between the most fascinating cars this year on the famous hill in Goodwood. So it's good to see the Czech car brand producing cars like that one with customers basically from all over the world. And I'm just curious if we also going to have a racing specification based on Praga Bohema. So far we have only this one Praga R1T racing in GT Cup Series, but in England there was a Praga Cup, so many Praga cars are racing in the UK, which is really good again. That's just so cool for the Czech automaker. And you know what, I was talking to some people working around supercars and its customers, and of course we all know the new fascinating Aston Martin Valkyrie with V12 engine done by Cosworth inside. And the fact is that the people working within the car industry were telling me that some of the customers of Aston Martin were a bit disappointed, because they just agreed on if they see Praga Bohema first, they would rather buy Praga Bohema than Aston Martin Valkyrie. And that's just so cool if you are a Czech car enthusiastic and you just hear so many nice words on the car designed and developed in the Czech Republic. That's so cool. That's really cool. If I speak about Aston Martin Valkyrie, of course this is a big racing weekend across the whole world, not only the Formula 1 Grand Prix in Monza, but also we do have another race of the FIA World Endurance Championship taking place tomorrow evening in Austin, Texas. So it will be another 6-hour race of the FIA WEC. And of course, the Aston Martin Valkyrie hypercar will be taking part with its screaming V12 engine produced by Cosworth. So it's also really busy schedule for me, as I'm going to do the live commentary of the 6-hour race in Austin tomorrow evening. So if you want, also join us live on Eurosport tomorrow, starting the live broadcast at 7:30 p.m. It will be another great showdown of hypercars and GT3 cars fighting for the World Championship points in Texas. But let's get back to Brno. Let's get back to the Czech Republic. We are here in the commentary box just next to the main straight of Masaryk Circuit. The safety car enters the pit lane again, and the race is on again. We have the green flags, and it was a great restart done by the green Lamborghini machine. Behind the Lamborghini, it's the Slovakian driver Richard Gonda behind the wheel of this beautiful red BMW M4 GT3, and there it's a mix of cars of different classes. Mercedes and Aston Martin, of course, fighting each other for positions in a GT4 class. And then we have Miro Konopka ahead of another GT3 car. Almost contact between Miro Konopka and the GT3 car. It's BMW M4 GT3, so plenty of action just after the restart of the race, and the pit stops are going on. This is one of the Porsche Cup cars in the pit lane. As I said previously, there is a mandatory pit stop halfway, and the teams are allowed to change drivers halfway, although it's not mandatory, so that's the reason why some drivers are doing a solo ride. We also have one of the BMWs entering the pit lane. And that's number 79 of Jesse Krohn and Gregor Shigo, which means that Gregor Shigo is done. And Jesse Krohn will be replacing the Slovakian driver. Yes, here it is. So the Slovakian driver is done, and Jesse Krohn, the Finnish factory driver of BMW, is getting behind the wheel of this beautiful BMW M4 GT3 number 79, entered by Racing Trevor in cooperation with Schenkies Motorsport. So let's get ready for Jesse Krohn on the track. This will be something. Of course, Jesse Krohn, he is the factory driver and he's one of the fastest GT drivers in the world. So it's absolutely wonderful that we have such a personality here in the GT Cup Series. So number 79 will be ready soon for rejoining the race, and we have another cars entering the pit lane. It's another BMW GT3 and also the Mercedes AMG GT3 driven by the Polish driver Piotr Wira. Also Miro Korupka on the pit lane. So the time for ARC Bratislava mechanics to work on the car. Mostly it's important to clean the front wing, because the endurance race is going into the sunset, as you can see here on the main straight. So it is absolutely crucial to make the vision clear for Miro Konopka. You can see Andy Studenic wearing the sunglasses, the manager of ARC Bratislava, with the lollipop on the right hand side of your screen. Also Marco Vonderk in the blue vest in the middle of the working mechanics. So this is a routine pit stop of very experienced team. And I'm just curious, what are the plans of Miro Konopka for the rest of the year? I believe he is still fierce and dedicated, and of course he still owns one of the Oreca 07 LMP2 cars, so maybe he's thinking about doing the Asian Le Mans series again. This will be a great season with another 6 races across 2 states, starting the season at the end of the year in Sepang, Malaysia, with 2 races on the former Formula 1 track, and then it's going to continue with 2 races in Dubai and 2 races in Abu Dhabi on the Yas Marina. So maybe we are going to see ARC Bratislava racing in the Asian Le Mans series again with some quality drivers. Last time in the Asian Le Mans series 2 years ago, it was Miro Konopka racing his LMP2 car alongside Jonas Reed, the son of Christian Reed, the boss of Proton Racing. And the third driver was Matthias Besch, very experienced Swiss driver who won Le Mans 24 Hours in LMP1 privateer class with Rebellion Racing. So Miro Konopka knows how to put a winning team together. So let's wait and see if we're going to have Miro Konopka again in Asia this winter. It will be perfect, it will be nice, not only for the Slovakian fans but also for the Czech fans, as the both nations are still strongly connected together. So, we have 21 minutes to go in the endurance race of GT Cup Series. Oh no, we have a slow Lamborghini on the track. That's number 70 actually. Lema Racing. So it's the Slovenian crew of Grega Šimunović and Jacques Šimunović, or Slovenian team and the Croatian crew, I'm sorry, my apology. We have 2 Croatian drivers sharing the duties, Grega Šimunović and Jacques Šimunović, behind the wheel of number 70 car, so hopefully it won't be another safety car, but let's wait and see. And just after the pit stops, of course, we are going to check on the results, but the 804 Lamborghini is still leading the way in the overall standings and also in the P9 class, which is the most important for the racing crew of Gerhard Tveraso and Coach McKenzie. Number 444 Aries Racing of Richard Gonda and Rudolf Benio should be there out on the track in second place overall and in the lead of GT3 class. Now it should be Rudolf Benio behind the wheel of this BMW. And we also have a pit stop for one of Bagheera Mercedes cars. Mercedes AMG GT4. The driver change is going on, and also there is one of the Lamborghinis of Mechanik Motorsport powered by Bagheera. So both closely related teams next to each other on the pit lane. And the Lamborghini is starting in GTC class, with the Mercedes starting in GT4 on the other hand. But as I said, let's wait and see for the standings after the pit stops. This is number 11. And it should be the first place in GTC class actually. The car has to be pushed back just to avoid a contact between Lamborghini and Mercedes. There is a mandatory minimum time for the pit stop, so even though the procedure is completed, the driver has to wait for the command. And this rule only ensures that all the pit stops have the same length. This is actually the Spanish driving or racing engineer working with Mechanik Motorsport powered by Bagheera for many years, not only in GT Cup Series but also in Lamborghini Super Trofeo and the GT2 European Series. It's a very successful era for Mechanik Motorsport powered by Bagheera Racing with these beautiful red and white Lamborghini Cup cars, because last year the crew of Stoffel Rosina and Bronislav Formanek won the championship title in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Pro M class, and this year Bronislav Formanek and Stoffel Rosina are sharing their driving duties in GT2 European Series, and they are also going for the championship title. So this could be a second big title on the European stage in a row for Mechanik Motorsport powered by Bagheera. Plus they are here to claim the national championship titles and the titles from the Central European Zone Championship. So what an era for Mechanik Motorsport powered by Bagheera. And look at the beautiful M6 GT3 in the sunset. Absolutely brilliant car. It's the car with so many successful races in its history. I still remember how Augusto Farfus, the Brazilian, won the GT World Cup in Macau a few years ago. So for BMW it was also extremely successful era with the previous BMW M6 GT3. And right now the new car, it's the BMW M4 GT3 from 2025 racing with Evo packet, and it's the car you can follow in DTM, in the WEC, in the GT World Challenge, Asia, Europe and America, and in many other championships that translated the GT3 rules into their rulebooks. 15 minutes to go, one of the KTMs doing the pit stop. Number 119, so that's MZR Motorsport Centrum Ried. And the driver is Marius Eigner, one of the drivers doing a solo ride here. So there is no driver change. It's just a mandatory pit stop without changing a driver in the cockpit. And the KTM will be ready to be released again out from the pit lane in a few moments. Nice fight of the two Lamborghinis entered by Masaryk Motorsport, powered by Bagheera. So this is the fight in a GTC class. And we have a position swap here between the two Lamborghinis entered by Masaryk Motorsport, powered by Bagheera. So shall I check the standings in a GTC class? These are the two cars racing with numbers 11 and 22. Here we have the beautiful Grid Girls also in a Masaryk Motorsport, powered by Bagheera. As I said, it's the home race for the team, so it's also very important to be seen on the grid. And Jiří Masaryk, the team boss, is doing everything he can to be seen, believe me. And he is doing it very well. So, with 13 minutes to go, a 104 Lamborghini leading the way and leading the P9 class ahead of BMW number 444. That's the leader in GT3 class. Then we have number 119 KTM leading the way in GTX class. And then it's number 14 car in the second place in GT3 standings, I believe. ARC Bratislava Ligier of Miro Konopka in fifth place. Sixth place belongs to number 806. The two German drivers, Timo Scheibner and Jürgen Alsen, sharing the BMW M4 GT3, entered by H&R Spezialfelden racing team. And this car also belongs to P9 class, so that's the second place in the P9. But according to the live timing, there was a change, and the live timing says the new leader of the P9 class is Jürgen Alsen, behind the wheel of mentioned BMW M4 GT3 number 806, which means the second driver of Lamborghini just has to be much slower than the first one. But just let's wait and see for the confirmation. We still have 11.5 minutes to go in the endurance race of GT Cup Series, and here we are watching a GT4 battle between the two BMWs and one Mercedes, entered by Bagheera ZM Racing. So where do we have the GT4 cars? The first GT4 car is in 17th place. So yes, this is the fight for the first, second and third place in a GT4 class between the two BMWs of Schenkies Motorsport and one Mercedes AMG GT4, entered by Bagheera ZM Racing. So this is going to be interesting into the final 10 minutes of the race. Number 3 is leading the way here on the main straight, and that's Drahoslav Karník, the Czech driver, behind the wheel. Behind him is the Mercedes number 55. And That's the crew of Adam Lacko and Miroslav Mikeš. Of course, if the car has number 55 on the front windscreen, it always has to be car of Adam Lacko, because it was his famous number for European Truck Racing Championship, and it still belongs to him in Bagira. Now there is a BMW GT3 car going around the GT4 cars, so you could see the the blue flags being displayed on the LED panels around the track. And the Mercedes went wide, so there is a space for BMW to overtake the slower GT4 car, but Mercedes is struggling a bit in the stadium section of the racetrack under the famous C grandstand, so there might be a chance for the second BMW of Schenki's Motorsport, driven by Matthias Feijreisel. So the battle for the win in a GT4 class is still on. This is of course number 444, the overall leader of the race and also the leader of GT3 class. So Rudolf Benio, who replaced Richard Gonda behind the wheel, is doing a really great job. And Aris Racing, in a cooperation with Schenki's Motorsport, is leading the way. So this looks really good for the Slovakian team racing with this BMW M4 GT3. And Rudolf Benio just needs to bring it home with 8 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Where's the second car in GT3 standings? 4 seconds away actually. So still, the battle is on in the GT3 class. So it can be a fight. It can be, or could be a fight between this BMW M4 GT3 and the Mercedes of Good Speed Racing. And it's the same situation like in GT4. Nothing has been decided yet. Rudolf Benio needs to be quick now, and he needs to go through the traffic as quickly as possible. By the way, for Rudolf Benio, it could be only the second win in the endurance this year. Rudolf Benio is in a 7th place. Oh, I'm sorry, in the 4th place in the championship, of course, with 37.5 points to his name. So this is the situation up in the front in GT3 class. Rudolf Benio overtaking another Porsche Cup car, but the Mercedes of Good Speed Racing is getting closer and closer, as it seems. So basically nothing has been decided here. So it should be the Polish driver Piotr Wira behind the wheel of the Mercedes AMG GT3 number 14. Here he is. So this might be interesting to the end of the race. So the fight for the first place in the overall and in the GT3 class respectively is on, and you can see Piotr Vila flashing the lights already, trying to make Rudolf Benyo nervous, and the gap is getting smaller and smaller between these two cars. Only 2 seconds last time around between these two drivers, and the gap will be much smaller now. So this is the fight for the GT3 race win here in Brno, with 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go, and there are only 0.7 of a second between Rudolf Benyo and Piotr Vila. Going into the last part of the race, 4.5 minutes to go. Rudolf Benyo replaced Richard Gonda behind the wheel of 444 BMW. It's a great to have Richard Gonda as your driver coach, because Richard Gonda, of course, he's a quick professional, very good racer. Also, he has some experiences from racing GP3 previously, so he is originally a single-seater racer, and now he is very good GT racer and also a driver coach for the gentleman drivers. And this is also the fight for the win in GT4 class, and Piotr Vila goes for it! Piotr Vila goes for it, and he overtakes Rudolf Benyo. So the Mercedes number 14 is the new race leader here with 3.5 minutes to go. So Piotr Vila is leading the race, and also, most importantly, he is leading the GT3 class. So Piotr Vila much faster at the closing stages of the race. And he is the new race leader now. Now overtaking the slower Aston Martin GT4 entered by Yannick Motorsport. And already there is a large gap between Piotr Vila and Rudolf Benyo. He's much quicker now. And Rudolf Benyo just doesn't have enough space to stay in touch with Piotr Vila. Another fight in between the Audi of Fulin Race and the Lamborghini of Twerasser and McKenzie. But it's not fight for the position, basically, because the Audi is listed among the GT3 cars and the Lamborghini is racing in a P9 class. So nothing is really going on here. And look at Piotr Vila, fierce and dedicated, flashing the lights, making it through traffic, overtaking one of the Lemma Racing Mercedes AMG GT4. And this should be second to last lap. So Piotr Vila is here. Piotr Vila is on fire, and he's going after the race win here in the endurance race. And this should be the first race win in the endurance for Piotr Vila this season. Yes, this is going to be the first win for the Polish driver. And on the grid I was talking about Libor Milota, because Libor Milota was the Czech racer entering this fascinating big GT car, the big the big Mercedes AMG GT3 into the GT Cup Series, but then he left the series. He switched into the International GT Open where he is racing alongside Philippe Salaquada with Audi R8 GT3 of ISR Racing. So we lost the only Mercedes AMG GT3 in the GT Cup Series Championship, but thanks to the Piotr Vila, the Mercedes is back in the championship. The Mercedes is back in the Central European zone, which is just amazing, not only for the drivers, the competitors, but also for the fans here. And it's just lovely to see this huge GT car lapping Automotodrom Brno, or Masaryk Circuit if you wish, with Piotr Vila behind the wheel. What a great race done by Piotr Vila. Amazing racecraft, good pace, and even though Rudolf Benyo is trying everything he can to stay in touch, it is just not enough to catch Piotr Vera here. 10 seconds to go. This is the last lap of the endurance race here in Brno. Second to last lap, of course, because usually we are racing 60 minutes plus 1 lap in endurance. So it should be 1 more lap for Piotr Vera and also for Rudolf Benio, but the gap is actually huge. More than 2 seconds between Vera and Benio. Last time around, Vera did 1:57.8, Benio did 1:58.5, so Piotr Vera was quicker over 0.6 of a second, or by 0.6 of a second over Rudolf Benio. So this is a safe situation for Piotr Vera. Again, we have the Mercedes here climbing up into the last chicane of Masaryk Circuit here in Brno. One last time to the sunset, and it should be only 1 more lap for the Polish driver. Yes, this is the last lap of the race. It has been officially confirmed by the race control. So final lap for Piotr Vera and also final lap for all the other drivers. So it looks to me that the GT3 battle has been decided. Of course, we need to wait for Piotr Vera taking the checkered flag. Until then, nothing is decided. Never think of Le Mans 2016 with the Toyota story, but we still have a large gap between Vera and Benio. Large gap between Mercedes and BMW. 3.5 seconds between the Polish and Slovakian drivers. So this is a great situation for Piotr Vera, who is still going very fast through the stadium section of Masaryk Circuit. Here we are under the famous C grandstand again. Beautiful drone footage of Piotr Vera and his Mercedes AMG GT3. One last time into this long straight, leading the cars into the Schwanz corner. Right hand side. Into the sunlight again. Now to the left side. This is the second to last chicane. Right side, and Piotr Vera is starting to climb the final straight again. This is a great race for Polish driver. This is a great race for Polish colors. We are in the last chicane of Masaryk Circuit here in Brno, and the beautiful Moravian sunset welcomes Piotr Vera on the main straight again. The checkered flag is out, and Piotr Vera wins the race in GT3 class. What a great job done by the Polish driver. So Piotr Vera takes the checkered flag as the first racer in the GT3 class, ahead of Rudolf Benio. So it's the second place in GT3 class for Rudolf Benio and Richard Gonda, sharing the duties in BMW M4 GT3 number 444. In third place, that's the ARC Bratislava Ligier LMP3 driven by Miro Konopka, which means that Miro Konopka takes the win in a D5 class. Behind Miro Konopka, it is Jürgen Alzen, the German driver of BMW number 806, who won the race in a B9 class. Behind Jürgen Alzen, it's number 119. That's the KTM Xbo GT2 driven by Marius Eigner, and the Austrian driver Marius Eigner won the race in a GTX class. Behind Marius Eigner, it's Racing Trevor number 79, Jesse Kron and Gregor Shigo. That's the third place in a GT3 class. We have one of the Lemma Racing cars on the grass. So there is a last minute problem to this GT4 Mercedes. Then we have another two P9 cars, number 611, that's Hermann Speck and his Porsche. So Hermann Speck in second place. Here he is, the yellow Porsche on the main straight, taking the second place in P9 class behind Hermann. It's number 804, so that's the green Lamborghini shared by Gerhard Ferrasser, coach Mackenzie. So these two drivers are taking the third place in a P9 class. Let's go, the GT Cup class. In a GT Cup, it's the race win for Mechanik Motorsport, powered by Bagheera Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo number 22. So good job by the local team from Brno. And let's find out who is the winner in GT4 class. The class win goes to Bagheera ZM Racing number 55. So that's the Mercedes shared by Adam Lacko and Miroslav Mikeš. So those were the highlights of the endurance race. Again, we saw the overtaking maneuver of Piotr Vera. This was how the Polish driver gets ahead of Rudolf Benio. That was the decisive moment of the race. So thank you very much for joining us for the 1 hour endurance race. And don't forget, the endurance season is going to end at the final weekend of September on Palaton Park, and it will be another great showdown of multi-class racing. So I'm saying goodbye with this beautiful footage of the Parc Fermé here on Masaryk Circuit. Thank you very much for joining me, and see you tomorrow.